If you love someone struggling with addiction, you know the ache of waiting, wondering, and holding on to hope.
You've seen the glimpses of who they really are and feared losing them to who they're not.
As long as they are alive, there's hope.
Between Relapse and Redemption is a raw and honest conversation between a mother and a daughter who've walked the long road through 20 years of addiction, Oxycontin, heroin, fentanyl, and found their way back to life, love, and healing.
Whether your loved one is lost in the spiral or fighting their way out, we created this space for you too.
To know that you're not alone, to understand more, to believe healing is still possible.
As long as they're alive, there is hope.
What Relapse taught me about real love.
20 years,
Two
two
hearts,
hearts,
one
one story.
story. Subscribe for weekly videos that explore the real, messy, and meaningful side of addiction and recovery from both sides.
Subscribing and sharing will help others who need to hear these messages.
We will offer stories, insights, and conversations that offer hope, understanding, and truth.
And reaching more and more people is what we're really after here. So please like this, share it, subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's so many things that we still have to talk about. And as you mentioned earlier, um, this is helping you process some things.
Sure is.
And it's certainly helping me too, because having the conversation with you, being that this happened between the two of us, it's really beneficial for me too. And it just brings to mind different things at different times. And a little earlier, we were talking about rock bottom for you.
Rock bottom for me. For me personally, I'll just share a few different moments in my life where I realized that I was at complete rock bottom. Well, I guess there's so many of them, but the three that definitely stand out to me are my relationship that I had with my 13-year-old's dad. And it took me, I know you remember those days, it took me a long time to realize that I was at rock bottom. I remember over the years, people would talk about brainwashing and manipulation, and I was like, oh, you're full of it, and brainwashing isn't real, but it's real. I was a complete, I was empty. I was a puppet on strings with him. And when I knew I was at rock bottom was when I was being held against my will. No, I'll take it to right before that when I came over to my mom's and I had sunglasses on my face. I remember there were two sheriffs parked out on the street, and it's right after I had my 13-year-old, within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks of him, and you already had him in your care, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you already
As
had
soon
him.
as he was discharged from the hospital.
Yeah, he was in your care. And people were here that I never would have expected to be here. Family, friends.
When we did the
The
intervention.
Some of my other mom's best friends, and my other moms. And I remember I had a hood on, and I had big sunglasses on my face, and I didn't want to take them off for the life of me. But I took them off, and I looked around the room, and the room felt more silent than it was at first. I mean, my eyes were so swollen. I remember it was my left one. No, it was my right one that was more swollen than my left one. I had bruises where you couldn't even see that, you know, the color of my skin at some point, you know, and I was beaten, bloody, and pulpy. I was, there's things I remember and things I don't, Mom, just from what my hypnosis that I've done and stuff. There's certain things I remember and certain things I don't, thank God. But the things I remember is just when I looked around and my cousin's face, and one that we've had issues off and on throughout the years, but she was here to support me, and my family, and my brother, and my sister, and my aunt, my uncle. You know, a lot of people were here, and they asked me what I wanted to do at the end of that, and I said I just want to go home.
And you meant back to him.
And I meant back to him. And my aunt drove me there, and I got there, and I had, over the course of the next couple weeks, well, next couple months, really, because my son was born. If I'm remembering the dates correctly, he got arrested on 4th of July of that year, July 4th or July 5th of 2012. And so I guess it was more than a couple months, but towards the end, I was being held hostage. And I called my mom, and my mom said, you need to call me every hour. I need to know you're okay. And it came to a point where I wasn't allowed to use the phone. I still have a crack in my skull from the butt of a gun. I didn't get food. I didn't get water. The locks were changed inside out on the doors. He had a police scanner, and when he felt like it, he would come in and beat the dog crap out of me to the point where the police happened to be at my mom's office, and the neighbors had called, I guess almost at the exact time that the police were with my mom at her office. And they had showed up, and in the backyard they had found like a shovel, they had found a couple guns, duct tape, and if those calls weren't made that day, I wouldn't be here right now. My life was saved at that point in my life, but it was rock bottom, and seeing him be arrested and taken into custody, and then I had to take a trip to the hospital and get, it was a long, extensive procedure, but then I still kept in contact with him.
Yeah, that wasn't a rock bottom for you.
No, so I still kept in contact with him, and it wasn't that deep of one for me yet. And then I stopped talking to him, and, luckily my 13-year-old is safe and healthy and in a loving home, and I have contact with my son, and so that was one of them, and I guess it just wasn't the deepest rock bottom.
Well, it certainly wasn't enough to have you come back to your son.
No, I feel like I spiraled downhill even more at that time. A lot more. And I was using an uncontrollably, the amount of drugs I was using was insane. I didn't care.
You moved into a drug home.
Yeah, I didn't care what it was. It was a known drug house in town.
Yeah, I suppose it's a house, not a home.
Yeah, it's a house. It was a trap house, and I got myself into some trouble, and out of trouble, into trouble, in jail, out of jail, in jail, out of jail, and it wasn't a breaking point. At that point, I had the complete fuck it's. I didn't care about anything, anybody, even myself. My one and only goal in life was to make sure I had my drugs, and I would do anything to get them. It didn't matter what it was. And which brought me to a time that I robbed my mom's house.
Twice.
and she wasn't in town. And
I knew it, didn't I?
You did.
I was out of town at a conference. I remember that, and I just had this sinking feeling something was off. And I told the group of people I was with that I had to go home. I had to. And I came home, and I just had a sinking feeling. I knew something was up. And there was no one else here. But sure enough, I went and I looked for my jewelry and my money, and it was gone. You brought in like a whole crew of people.
Yeah, there were a few of us. And so
But that still wasn't rock bottom.
That wasn't rock bottom for me either. I need your help with this, actually, Mom. What is a time that you think was my rock bottom? Because I mean, there's many people that I guess I could say I was at the bottom, but not till, like you say, I was beating my head against the wall until I was bloody and pulpy. And I mean,
I'm
there's
telling you that since you were a teenager.
So when are you gonna stop? And I mean, there's so many things I could go on for days, weeks, months about.
It's so curious to me, though, how something so harmful, so dangerous, so painful, those experiences, because you were captive and you were tortured.
Yeah.
And how, when given the opportunity for your freedom, I mean, I understand psychologically because that's the study that I've done for so long, but from you, what kept you there? Why wasn't that rock bottom enough to lose your child, to be tortured, and even once he went to prison, to not give you enough of a space or a gap to have you be at rock bottom, because then you went from the frying pan into the fire with another guy.
Mm-hmm. It was honestly, Mom. I mean, it could be from just being in fear of knowing what this man is capable of. He was just sick and demented. But the fear of what he could do to my family.
Right, but after that, you still didn't choose to get clean. You didn't choose to come back to your children. You didn't choose
I hated myself. I felt like I wasn't worthy of anything. And I mean, physical pain, it may sound crazy saying it, but physical pain to me is physical pain. But when I am constantly beaten down with somebody's words, it got to a point where I felt like the dirt he was walking on had more value than me as a person and me in my own life. And I was told that over and over and over again. So
then how'd you break through that?
It took me a long time.
Yeah, it did.
It took me a long time, but it got to a point where after all these years and all this pain and lies and all this deceit and manipulation, I'm sitting in the county jail this time around, and still, even after everything, I can still call my mom and my dad. And my brother, for the first time in a long time, for years, told me he loved me. And I got to talk to my nephew, not talk to him, but hear him in the background. And I talked to my son, and it was just, I had an awakening moment, I guess.
It's interesting now, because before you went in this last time, you were on the street still, you were using drugs, but you weren't in your worst place. No. You weren't with either of these guys that were like really beating you down. Mm-mm. You had places to go and stay. Mm-hmm. It's almost like things were, I don't even want to say better, but they were better for you somehow than they had been in the past. And I wonder if it was like then, because I remember when you said in the jail, you said, I promised myself I'd never come back here. So it was almost like you were like really rock bottom with these guys and everything that was happening. And then you stepped up to where it was better. Not ideal by any means, but better. And then you go to this place that you said you'd never go back to, and then facing prison beyond that. It almost sounds like you climbed up out of that rock bottom to a step where things were a little bit better and you were comfortable there. Because you still weren't coming home, you still weren't contacting your children.
No.
But then when you took that next step of going someplace that you promised yourself you wouldn't go back to, the lights came on.
Yeah. This experience that I had in the few months I was in the county jail was just, I mean, I feel like it sounds so cliche, but it was different.
So what was the difference that made all the difference?
The difference, I got in there and
I'm probably going to be asking you this in every video because
I'm still trying to put it together myself, you know? But
well, and also maybe someone has some hope out there if they start seeing these glimmers, and not the false hope, you know, but hope that, wow, there actually is a sense of change, because that's what I noticed in you.
Yeah.
And that's what I told Dad. Something's different this time.
Yeah, Dad told me a couple days ago, I didn't want to get you out. I didn't want to bail you out, but your mom said there's something different this time. And he said that's all it took. Mom said, you know, she believes that there's something different this time. So I went through with it. And I know I've fed you guys that drag for the last 20 years I've been in and out of the county jail. And I remember that phone call I made from booking so clearly, like we mentioned in one of the videos. And you said, no, I will not, in bailing me out. And I said, what do I do, Mom? And that was the first hint of clarity for me. It was just before I'd be so argumentative and like, oh, Mom, you know, F you, or like, Mom, what the hell? You don't care, whatever. And it wasn't like that this time. You said, get down on your hands and knees and pray. And it was just, like I said, different. I got into the jail and it was the same people, same things, people getting younger, but the same people, same things, same meals, same uncomfortable ass bed and wool blanket. It wasn't fun. But me being me, I had to make the best out of the situation. Otherwise, because I wasn't going to stay miserable. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm in jail now. Now I'm going to be myself. And maybe that helps not being on drugs and everything else. But it was just,
Do you think, though, that you got comfortable out there on the streets?
So, oh, yeah, it was comfortable.
So that rock bottom really didn't ever seem like rock bottom because you adapted somehow to your environment?
I had to. It was life or death at that point. When I'm out there in the streets and, I mean, it's comfortable in a way, not where I'm sleeping, not, you know, what I'm eating or not eating, but it comfortable as in I had my routine every day. I knew what I had to do every day or every night, and it just made it what I had to do to survive. And it's
so it didn't feel like a rock bottom.
No. I guess the biggest, not even the biggest, but me, no, it wasn't my rock bottom. It was just another day, and it was hell. That shit wasn't easy, you know?
In talking about rock bottoms, though, do you think or feel that you had a rock bottom? Or did you have a different experience? Because we started out the conversation on your rock bottoms, of which you said you've had many. But was it really a rock bottom that lifted you up, or was it something else?
It wasn't the rock bottom that lifted me up, because I've had so many of them in
that's what it sounded
in my point of view, you know, and coming from me, I feel like I've had many rock bottoms, but they weren't center of the earth, the rock bottom issues, you know?
Even though they were.
Even though they weren't anybody else, like, oh my gosh, like, but it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me to change my life around. And I guess my different experience, as you were saying, would be just when I was out there and doing what I was doing, I felt alone, but I didn't, because I was numbing myself. When the moment I felt alone, okay, I'm going to numb that pain. But when I'm sitting, in the county jail or at the, in the day room or whatever, watching the same TV show over and over and over again, it was like, oh my God, I'm here again. Like, and I'm facing a lot of time. And I'm like, I don't fucking want this anymore. I do not want it. So it was just a light that came up. Or it was.
Sounds like you got tired of it.
Exhausted.
Rather than a rock bottom.
No,
it was more.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm almost 40 years old. But besides that, and we talked about how I didn't think I would even live till 39. And 39 is the year I got clean. And
Amen. I
saved my life. And but I would make phone calls home like, damn, if I go away for this case, I'm not going to be out till the time I'm 43 years old. And one of my sons is going to be 8 or 9-ish. My other son's going to be graduating high school. And my daughter is going to be well into college. And, but more importantly, there's so much I want to accomplish in my own life. And sitting in there, I took advantage of all the classes we could take, which helped tremendously.
How?
Just to re-stimulate my mind in the right way. That I would listen to podcasts or different areas that I would take online classes, and it would be like other inmates that are in prison or that have gone paroled from prison, but they're on there giving their testimony. And it's like, okay, I've done so many freaking crappy things, but look at them, and I want what they have. They're doing the damn thing. I want to be able to do the damn thing, and I can. There's
so
people
you found some inspiration.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And exhaustion and inspiration.
Absolutely.
More so than a rock bottom for you.
Absolutely.
Which kind of was your rock bottom then?
Yeah.
You were exhausted from the same old routine. You got bored with it sounds like.
Yeah, it just wasn't, okay, yeah, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to go steal from some stores, I'm going to go sell it, and I'm going to go get my drugs. That was my everyday thing. And gamble. I mean, how boring. And now I look back, I'm like, God, what is wrong with you, Nicole? Like, get it together. And I have the biggest smile on my face because of how far I've come since February 12th when I got arrested. And I'm coming up on 6 months of being clean in a few days. And
looking forward to that.
It's just that where my life was 6 months ago and where it is today I'm speechless. But I've put in the work and I've showed up and I've remained honest. And I've had to tell my mom, well, call me on my shit, help me stay accountable. And so I'm really working on that. And when I tell my mom I'm gonna call, I do my damn hardest to make sure that I call my mom or be like, hey mom, I'm texting you to at least check in, and because knowing
and I really appreciate
that I'm easing your mind and not letting your mind wander, because it goes back to when I was a little girl. I remember waiting for somebody to call and they didn't, and it was overwhelming and it was scary and like, what did I do wrong? And but I just...
It sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that it really didn't matter how many times Dad or me or your brother or anyone else told you what you were missing out on, or said that we're here to support you or encourage you or anything, is really what impacted you. It was that you had these moments where you said, I promised myself I wasn't going to be here. You're exhausted. And then you, through that exhaustion, having boredom, and then that boredom leading to some type of inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was like you've always told us ever since we were little, we can take a horse to water, but we can't make it feed.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the drug programs and jail and prison, and
we'll definitely get into those drug programs at some point.
Yeah,
because
and even letting me stay here multiple different times and me fucking that off. And but it was, you know, so many things were handed to me, and okay, I'm doing well, okay, I'm gonna take it. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I got a little bit, now I'm gonna take because that's my addiction. That's my mentality when I'm in my addiction. And I guess I'll sum it up with it. That's where, you know, when I wanted something, I wanted it right then and there. That instant gratification, that just good feeling, whether it be from drugs, gambling, men, stealing, lying. When I went full force with whatever I was gonna do, and now I'm going full force, but with integrity and being happy. Like, I'm just, and to sit here and look at my mom in the eyes and not have sunglasses on my face, or, you know, and try and hide that. And it just feels so good. And
I think it's really remarkable that in this same conversation, you've talked about feeling less worthy than dirt, to talking about the level of integrity that you carry now.
Mm.
And I think we'll save that for another time. I think that would be something that you and I could both learn a lot in that conversation, and probably other people as well. To sum up, though, I think for the parents, it's to keep loving your child. You don't have to love a behavior.
Mm-mm.
To love the child, to love the adult, to love the human, to love the person. Set some boundaries, but to also know it's not in your control.
It is not in your control.
It's not in your power, and you didn't create the addiction. There may be things in life that helped cause a problem, and part of the solution was the child, the person, went after drugs or a different type of addiction to try to soothe that problem, but that you can't fix it for anyone else.
No, sure can't.
Wow. I'm excited to go to your 6 month on Friday and watch you take that chip.
Yeah,
it's a symbolism as I see it for you, because I know that you're not so solid in that recovery is your identity. I see that differently in you, but that recovery is part of your journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and we look forward to continuing this conversation with you.
Bye, everybody.